guys, it's Katie with 2Fab, and it's very exciting because I've got Tyler Henry here from Hollywood Medium on E, and they're coming back this week with some brand new episodes, May 17th, 8 p.m. Tyler, awesome to have you here. Welcome.
Oh, so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so what can we expect from the new episodes? What's going to be different? Why should we tune in?
Right, well, there's so many readings to tune into this upcoming season, ranging from Bobby Brown to Dr. Drew to RuPaul. So there's a really diverse cast as far as different backgrounds. And you can actually expect to see some really interesting behind-the-scenes footage this season of a lot of the responses and reactions of the family members that actually accompany these celebrities to their readings. And they actually get readings themselves. So that's a really cool part for you guys.
Oh, so you'll do like a member of the family a reading for them as well?
So what I found that actually happens is though I go into these readings intending to read the person in front of me, oftentimes these clients bring friends and family to watch in the back for support. And oftentimes loved ones will come through with messages for those people, not the person in front of me. And so sometimes the person in front of me kind of becomes the medium for the medium, and you'll actually see that play out in the show.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, does the celebrity ever get angry because they want to talk to someone, but they're like, no, actually, we're going to speak to your sister? Has that happened? Or
Thankfully, everyone's been pretty understanding. There was one reading with Janet Kramer that I can think of coming up in season 2 where she sat down and she brought about 5 or 6 friends watching in the back, and all of the loved ones that were coming through came through for them, and the person she was intending to connect with didn't
show up.
It was a really interesting dynamic, but she knew that her friends needed it, and it was really a beautiful moment of like friendship because she was able to bring her friends out at the end, and there were tears and healing, and this friend was able to get a healing experience that she didn't even know she was going to get. She was just going to watch her reading. So
oh, that's really
It was
nice.
beautiful. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned Bobby Brown.
Yes.
Whitney.
Yes.
She come up?
She does.
Oh,
yes.
What can you tell us about that?
Well, that was a really interesting reading because when Bobby answered the door, I actually had no idea who he was. It was in a really kind of rather smaller house, and it just answered the door basically in sweatpants. So I came on in.
Typical Bobby Brown, right?
And so sat down, and basically what was so profound about that connection was that he had other family members come through, particularly his sister was one of the first people out of the gate to come through. And she came through with messages that were so specific, so detailed that he knew that she was making a connection. And at the end, there was a connection with Whitney and Bobby Christina. But I think it took having those validating experiences with non-famous family members to really open him up and to show him that this was real.
Okay.
And that was important.
What kind of signals do you get when someone comes through? Like if he was looking for Whitney, but all of a sudden the sister comes through, is that just a strong feeling you get? Like,
Yeah,
is it usually a surprise when that
Right.
person comes through, or do you always have to have, I know you take objects, right?
Sure.
So if you have an object that was, say, Whitney's,
Right.
would the sister come through?
Sometimes.
Okay.
So what I find is I encourage clients to bring objects belonging to loved ones because to me that kind of represents the intention to connect to that loved one. So if they bring, your grandmother's object, your grandmother is inclined to probably come through. But also other loved ones can connect as well. I believe that just as in life we all kind of have different communication styles, different communication abilities, the same applies to people on the other side. And if they know they have a limited amount of time to deliver a message, they're going to go through whoever the strongest channel is to do that.
Okay.
And sometimes that's not the spirit that the person in front of me is hoping to hear from. But
Right.
sometimes they relay a message through, a different person. So
Okay.
it can be very complicated.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Tell me when you first realized you got this gift.
Well, for me, I didn't really understand what this was, but it started for me at the age of 10 when I had a premonition of my grandmother's passing. And at the time, my grandmother had been ill with cancer, so we totally knew she was ill. But I went to bed one night, much like any other, and woke up with what I now describe as a knowingness. And I woke up with the knowingness that my grandmother was going to die. So I rolled out of bed and went into the other room to tell my mom that I just had this feeling, like a memory that hadn't happened yet. I just knew it. Before we got the chance to walk out the door, my mom's phone rang. And when she went to pick it up, it was the news that my grandmother had just died. So that was a premonition, but it took years of refinement to really understand what that was and then turn it into readings.
So as a kid, was that really scary for you, trying to harness that? I mean, like in school, did people believe you? Did your parents believe you? How did that?
Yeah, well, it was interesting. It was an adjustment because I would share these impressions that I would get with kids at school. Sometimes it was something as simple as, oh, did you eat peanut butter and pickle sandwiches with your grandpa, for example, something random. And they would say, yes, indeed I did. And I'd be like, oh, okay. Well, word spread and teachers started caring about my ability. And I didn't really deal with much disbelief as much as I dealt with a lot of kind of religious persecution. I grew up in a very small community, small town.
Oh,
so it was more people being afraid that, this was of the devil in people's opinion. But I actually was able to meet with teachers who had heard about what I did, and they wanted to kind of get a reading themselves. So in exchange for math homework, I would actually meet with my math teacher after class and give her readings.
That's
and
amazing.
I ended up graduating at high school around the age of 16 as a result. So
well, that's what I was
it paid off.
That does pay off. I was going to ask you if you ever use this talent to kind of get out of trouble. If your
Right.
teacher is like, it's a B, you're like, okay, but your grandma's got a message for
Just
you.
like
so.
it's a B plus. Grandma says it's B plus if you can relay this message. No.
Or a
thankfully.
speeding ticket, if you
No.
ever.
I haven't got one yet because I don't drive.
Well-
but good idea.